Welcome back to the Football Tragics Campo. The title race is back on. The top four is back on. The relegation is back on. We're here. We're going to go through the games from last weekend. But first of all, how are you feeling, Campo?
Over the moon, back in the top four with the bottle job of Arsenal. So all smiles here, mate.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not too impressed. Obviously, Arsenal bottled it, Chelsea bottled it, and in United fashion, we also dropped points. So wasn't the best day, but we will jump straight into it. Obviously, first up, we have the Liverpool result, 2-0 Liverpool versus Watford. We kind of all saw this coming, Campo. We thought this was how it was going to go. We thought it was going to be a bit of a stress for Liverpool. Watford would somewhat park the bus, but ultimately, obviously, Jota opens up the scoring. They get the penalty late, but Campo, is there anything to add besides routine and Brit on this weekend's clash between Liverpool and City?
The only thing I have is that penalty. Everyone wrestles in the box. What makes Liverpool so special to get a penalty for it? Because there have been many times where Spurs players have been grabbed, where we've grabbed players and they go down and nothing happens. I get, if you're going to call that a penalty, be consistent. That's just my only query from the game.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get that, and I do agree with you. I think I did put that in the inbox as well. The only thing I can think is a little bit different is usually when we see that, the player still has eyes for the ball. This guy didn't even know where that ball was. He just turned around, tackled him to the floor, and went, I don't give a shit where the ball is. But in the end, Campo, it might have killed off the game, but Watford didn't deserve any points from this game. And 1-0, 2-0, like I said, maybe the Premier League wanted to set up that absolute cracker this weekend, which we'll talk about in the preview, but we'll move straight on to an absolute snorefest. Brighton probably deserved more, but it was Brighton 0, Norwich 0. At this stage of the season, Campo, it's not going to save Norwich. Draws are not going to save them. They need to be picking up maximum points. They're not going to do it. They're going down, but is this a poor result for Brighton?
Considering they had a penalty, Morpay had a chance to become Brighton's all-time leading goal scorer and send it to the moon. Yes, it's a poor result for Brighton, but again, they're just one of these clubs that don't want to go down, but don't want to do anything in the Prem.
Yeah, 100%. And like we said, you know what? Norwich probably going to go back down. We'll see him in 2024. So they'll come straight back up and we'll end up being they'll go straight back down. So that's the way it happens. But moving on to obviously another game, a team that is in the relegation battle, Burnley 0, Manchester City 2. Now, we will get into it later. There was a big result for Burnley this morning that does kind of open up that relegation race. But I guess it's the same as Liverpool. Campo, it's Man City would have had one eye on that Atletico Madrid game that was obviously a couple of days ago. They've gone to Burnley. They got the 2-0 result. Doesn't have to be the prettiest, but they got the result. So what were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, routine. Sterling has started to show some form again. He pulled all the strings in this game, set up 2 assists. But again, it's just moving in the right direction for this blockbuster this weekend.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, like I said, all eyes are going to be on that fixture. Obviously, Tottenham supporter, United supporter. But if we're looking forward to one game this weekend, it's that game that could decide the title. So I'm excited. You're excited. Morty's probably having a heart attack. That's why he's not here today. But we'll move into the real reason Aaron isn't on this podcast today. We're going to jump straight into it. I'll let you go first. It's Chelsea 1, Brentford 4. What the fuck? Campo, take it away.
I just don't know what's happening with Chelsea. All the possession in the world, they go out and score an absolute goal of the season contender. Rudiger, take your hat off to him. But to get carved open that easily 4 times by Brentford, it's just not good enough. And especially, you saw again in the Champions League, just stupid mistakes constantly, time and time again, from world-class centre-backs and a world-class goalkeeper. It's just unacceptable when, they're not completely safe in the top 4. They keep performing like this, they'll fall out really quickly.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, I saw a stat earlier, and I think it said something like, obviously, Australian dollars, Lukaku cost them, about 150? Werner cost them about 50, 60, whatever it was. But they had Tammy Abraham, who obviously it is a different league, but he's absolutely tearing it up for Roma at the moment. This didn't look like a defense that we saw. Obviously, Campo, you spoke about how you had those players coming back. You've obviously got a backline that many Premier League teams would be happy with, and they looked like they had never played together. So based on this result, based on the Champions League, where, again, Benzema, massive props, absolutely killing it. But it's worrying times for Chelsea. And like you said, it could be an Arsenal-Tottenham finishing that top four, and Chelsea could drop out. So we'll have to see. And if it keeps sliding this way, we might not see Aaron for a little bit. So we'll move on to the next one. Leeds 1, Southampton 1. James Ward-Prowse, free kick, as he does. He does it every single time he scores a goal. And obviously Leeds come back and get that 1-1 draw. So, Campo, what were your thoughts on this game? And who would be the more happier? I don't think either team could be disappointed with a point at this part of the season, but who would be the more happier in this?
Leeds 100%. They're down in that scrap still. I think they're 5 points clear now. Any point for them to get them further away from Everton and Burnley, the better they are. You said Ward-Prowse free kick. I call it a penalty. He, anywhere outside that 20-yard, it's just easy for him. He's probably the purest striker of a free kick you'll ever see. He's just incredible. So if he's not in that England squad for that World Cup, he just needs to be there because, any chance they have a set piece, he has to be delivering those balls.
So I'll ask you, Camp. Obviously, you did mention, and I agree with you 100%, but you did mention Leeds. They're still in that scrap. They have 5 points clear of Everton, 6 clear of Burnley. Both teams have 2 games in hand. If you had to say right now to save your life, who you think's going down? Are Leeds really one of those teams that you're going to say they're gone, or are you going to say it's Everton or it's Burnley?
I'm leaning more towards Everton.
And what about Newcastle? They're only 1 more point further ahead. So
they got too much money to go down.
place?
No, they got too much money.
That's true. They'll bribe a few officials, get a few penalties, they'll keep them up. But we'll move into who used to be an absolute masterclass. It's probably the best finish he's had in years. It's Wolves 2, Aston Villa 1. But Ashley Young has put the ball in the wrong net, and it's ultimately ended that game. So I don't know if you watched this game. We were heading back with an Aston Villa fan in the car. Player goes down injured. They're already down 1-0. On comes Ashley Young. He somehow headers this ball into the only part of the goal that Martinez couldn't get it to, and they lose 2-1 in a game that, yes, it keeps Wolves' European hope alive, but what were your thoughts on this game, Campo? Obviously, were Wolves favourites? Were Villa favourites? What did you think coming into this?
I thought Villa would win basically because they didn't have Jimenez up top. They didn't have that marquee lone striker that would bully those defenders. But
they had Ashley Young up top, mate. They had Ashley Young up top for Wolves.
Not for the first goal. Their first goal was also just hilarious. A defender slipping, them just standing on the ball, shooting too late, block, and then it falls to their right back or Johnny, whatever his name is, who just rips it in top corner. They had so many chances to get that ball out, couldn't do it, and Wolves punished them. But Villa, they're happy with how they go and just get to next season under Stevie G, a full season under him, they'll be looking in the right direction.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, it is looking in a good direction. They probably are aiming for that top half, maybe Europa Conference League next year. So exciting times if you're a Villa and a Wolves fan, I guess. But where you're not excited, it's been a Manchester United supporter, and it is getting extremely tough to keep getting up and watching these games. And I don't know if you've seen, Kev, but this game kicked off at 2:30 in the morning. However, it kicked off right around daylight savings time. So the game during normal time actually would have kicked off at 3:30, but because of daylight savings time, it went back to 2:30. So there was no proper way you could set your alarm. There was no time you knew what time the game was. So I've got up. I've gone and turned on Optus. I'm like, you beauty, 2 minutes before kickoff. I've turned on Optus and it has your game will kick off in an hour and 2 minutes. So it wasn't off to a good start. Obviously, Leicester then take the lead. Fred, what can I say? He's probably been one of our best players this year, if I'm being completely honest. Gets that goal back. It's 1-1. Leicester score late. It does get ruled off, but I think the real winners here aren't United, aren't Leicester. It's Tottenham, Arsenal, and Chelsea. So what were your thoughts on this one, Camper?
You can't discredit the defending for Leicester's goal. Sometimes a cross is just pinpoint accurate because Varane was full stretch. Taylor's was just a bit slow, but again, I'm not going to fault anyone for that because that was just beautiful cross from Maddison. But Schmeichel has to do better from that Bruno shot. Palms it straight into Fred. So I think it's drop points for Leicester in the end. because they had that lead and they gave away a stupid goal. Again, I'm happy. You dropped points, and the rest of the league is, still happy because it just keeps you further out of that top 4 race.
Yeah, 100%. And like you said, it might be drop points for Leicester in the terms of the game, but in the terms of the season, obviously it is drop points for United. Leicester, they're not going down. They're not making Europe. So for them, a result's what it is, and they move on. But we'll move on to a big game, and it's the first big loss for this team. West Ham 2, Everton 1. They were, after this game, scared of relegation. We'll get into it a bit later, but they are now only 1 point clear of relegation, Campo. What are your thoughts on this? Was it just West Ham too classy? Everton's just not looking like a team that deserves to stay up? What do you think it is?
They don't look like they're worried about getting relegated. Yeah, West Ham opened the scoring, amazing free kick. Everton equalised, a classy half volley from Mason Holgate. Didn't expect it from him. But then the way they just opened up at the back, they were really going for the win. When you're in that relegation scrap, you should be fighting for every single point you can get. I wouldn't be trying to throw the kitchen sink up there because you saw how exposed they were. Antonio was 1-on-1. Again, good save from the keeper, but it just fell to Bowen perfectly. I just think Lampard's getting this whole, I'm in a relegation battle, but I'm going to try and throw the kitchen sink at it and leave us so exposed at the back because they're getting caught all the time.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously it didn't help that after they did go down 2-1, they did cop that red card to Keane. So it's not happy days for Everton, but we did speak about this when Lampard took the job a lot. So I think you were in agreement with me, to be honest, Camper. We said it's a bit of a suicidal job for his managerial career. He's taken it on. If he keeps them up, fair play to him. But I can't say he's come in like a Gerrard and improved that team or improved their performances because they haven't. So this could be something that Lampard could stay there next year, could go down to the Championship, but I just don't see him back in the Premier League for at least 2 to 3 years. So we'll see what happens. But
in saying that, he brought in players in that transfer window. Like he brought in Ali. He rarely uses him. I get you're not happy with him, but on his day, he can beat a side like West Ham. So can Donny van de Beek.
Donny was injured. Donny did play. Donny came off injured.
Oh, was he subbed on?
I'm pretty sure Donny played and came off injured in this game. Or was that the Sayers game? Yeah.
I can't remember which game it was.
Yeah, it's one of it. Like I said, they've played 2 games.
Yeah.
So,
you got these players. You should be trying to play them week in, week out, get them used to the squad because they're your game changers, not Alex Iwobi and Mason Holgate. Like, at the end of the day, if you're gonna play these players, you have to deal with the result. You're not given these new players.
I'll jump in there. Sorry, Campo, just quickly. Van der Beek was out of this game with a thigh injury. So that's why he didn't play. Allen had the red card, and they had a few other injuries that were knee injuries or muscular injuries. So, as you were saying, if you don't play him, Campo, and you pick the squad, that falls on Lampard, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's it. He's going to, fall short on the... He wanted these players badly. He got them. He's not playing them, and he's suffering the consequences now.
All right, Campo, put that smile on your face. We're here for your team. It's Tottenham 5, Newcastle 1. The only thing I'm going to add in here, because I'm sure you're going to cover this game quite quickly, is if I watch this Tottenham game and I saw how Newcastle defended, and I had Newcastle next week, I'm whipping in as many crosses as I can because they cannot defend a cross to save their life. So, Campo, the floor is yours. Take your time because after this, you get to talk shit about Arsenal. So enjoy it. Talk to me about the game.
The only bad thing I have on this is that free kick. Lloris should be saving that comfortably. He should have got down there quick enough, saved it. But again, 1-0 down. Old Spurs, even under Nuno, we would have folded and we would have lost. It's taken a while, but you can really see these players really starting to click under this new Conte system. The wing-backs are up and down. They're putting in damaging crosses. Wing-backs are assisting wing-backs. It's just this whole system that they're finally starting to really understand. They've memorized their runs they're making. It's all coming into play now, and they just look. That second half was just incredible. The passes, the runs. Harry Kane was incredible. He didn't get on the score sheet, but he was at the center of everything. It was just incredible. And when you have a win like that, you're just so excited for next week to, just put another 5 goals on whoever we're versing.
Well, you heard it from the man, guys. It was incredible. And in Tottenham fashion, they're probably going to lose this week. So if you've got a tipping comp, if you've got a spare couple of dollars, chuck it on whoever they're playing, and you're probably going to make some money. I'm going to go to bat a little bit here for Lloris. I think he was wrong-footed, which made it look bad because it was very close to him. But if you have a look as that free kick comes in, he takes his step to his right-hand side, and he's kind of delayed coming back. So whether that was Lloris's his movement speed, whether that was how he positioned his wall, I don't know. But when you win 5-1 Campo, you kind of just go, oh, well, we conceded and we move on. So
there's been reports that Alistair Gold is the Spurs, number one reporter. He reports for the club. Sam Johnston is apparently signed a contract. He's out of contract with West Brom. Apparently he is just about signed with Spurs. Do you think that pushes Lloris back a bit, because he did fight for number England, like he was in that England squad?
I mean, he's 35 years old. He's not getting any younger, and I mean, we've seen players like Buffon, for example, who at that age, even he realised that it's time to step back, be a second fiddle. When I'm needed, I'll play. But I think Lloris knows that, and if he loves the club as much as I think he does, having how long he's been there, I think he's going to be maybe happy to play a bit of Europe, play a bit of cup games, or play in the league when you've got a European game if the West Brom keeper is there. But it's going to be an interesting balance. Can Conte find that balance to keep both keepers happy? So we'll see what happens, Campo, but keep that smile on your face. It'll come straight back to you. We've called it. I think we both called this. We called a result to Crystal Palace, but it was Crystal Palace 3, Arsenal 0. Defending, especially for that second goal, was shambolic. The defending for that third penalty with Odegaard just swinging a leg through. I could have closed my eyes and I would have told you what Zaha was going to do. He's going to go one way away from goal. Why would you even go in for a challenger? He's running to left away from goal and he sticks his foot out, takes him out. In the end, it didn't really mean too much. They're already down 2-0, but Campo, your favourite manager in the whole Premier League, gets the result done for you. How are you feeling?
Oh, I love him right now. I said, Spurs, United are going to apply some pressure, and these young kids aren't going to handle it. They're going to bottle it. The strikers played all right, like the forward Saka and that. They still had a pretty decent game. But again, as we said, the defending. The first goal I was more annoyed at, because if I'm an Arsenal fan, Ben White is with his man. He then ball watches and chases the ball and leaves his man, who ends up tapping it in. Just stupid mistakes like that end up costing their team. 1-0 down early on. And then again, Gabriel makes a weird lunge at the ball, misses. Just comical from Arsenal. The Arsenal of old, I think. But again, it just adds more and more pressure to this young squad. And can they handle it? Time will tell.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, I completely forgot who it was. So Gabriel, and obviously, like you said, he lunges in, where I think if he just holds his position and backtracks 2 steps, he's got nowhere to turn. So ultimately, that was the goal that gave him the buffer. So maybe it is that pressure of the young kids. Ramsdale, usually, you know what? I'd back him to save some of those goals that went in, but is that fatigue from England? He did travel, so who knows? But Campo, the relegation battle, it's 1 point, and it's thanks to this game. Burnley 3, Everton 2. I saw a meme. It said, don't let Everton fans walk a dog because they can't hold a lead, these players, yada, yada, yada. We see it every time a team loses a game, but the relegation's back on. And if I'm being completely honest, I've talked shit all year. I'd rather bet Burnley in the Premier League over Everton at the moment. What are your thoughts on that?
If I was Burnley, I would have been annoyed. Those 2 penalty challenges they got, Everton, I thought they were both very, very soft. So if I'm Burnley and I was 2-1 down at halftime, I'm wondering how did we get, how did we lose both 50-50 calls there? But then to show that heart in that second half and get both those goals to end up winning, incredible. and I'm hoping it takes them over the line and gets them safe.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, if you're a team that's sitting at the top of the ladder and you want to say, who do I want to poach players from a relegation side? Everton have a few more better players than what Burnley do. So that's probably who I'm wanting to poach if I want to poach someone for my bench. So
You want Donny back?
Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, Donny. Give him a call. Someone might take him. Someone might want him. Who knows? Maybe Norwich might want him in the championship. Who knows? But Campo, obviously, that is the game that is wrapping up this week. We will be back very soon with the preview, but I'm going to get your quick prediction now. Liverpool City. We put it on Instagram. I don't know if you saw the results. It was actually smack bang even between City and Liverpool, and I think it was like 2% behind was the draw. So people are finding it hard to break them down. But just quickly now, before we go into depth in that preview show, just City, Liverpool draw. Give me your result. That's it.
City.
All right. We'll leave it there. We will be back, Campo. Thanks for joining me, mate, and I'll talk to you soon.
Always a pleasure.